Augustine in 400 AD. 3. Gregory of Nazianzus, 329 to 389 AD. Street. Gregory was well educated in Alexandria and Athens. Having a call to the ministry, he went to Pontus with Street. Basil, where the two compiled a collection of the writings of Origen, called Philokalia, or Love of the Beautiful. Gregory was a quiet man, a perpetual student, the kind of person who spent his whole life studying, having no desire to make a name for himself. However, the people would not allow this. In 361, Gregory was forcibly seized by the people and compelled to become ordained as a priest. So much for the quiet life.
Right.
He then pastored the church at Sassima, a village in Cappadocia. For a few months, Gregory was also Bishop of Constantinople, where it is said he accomplished more in a few months there than in 20 years in Caesarea. Gregory was one of the 4 Eastern doctors of the church. In addition to that, according to Robert Payne, of all the fathers of the church, he was the only one to be granted after his death the title theologian, which until this time was reserved for an apostle, John of Patmos. The Fathers of the Eastern Church, p. 179. I include these credentials to show that this was no insignificant, backwoods, self-styled pastor. Nor was he an ambitious, self-aggrandizing leader as many were in his day. Gregory of Nazianzus was one of the most prominent Christian leaders of his day and well loved for the fruit of the Spirit, which he manifested daily and consistently. In fact, this red-haired Cappadocian had quite a sense of humor and was the only one who was known to have ever dared to laugh at his friend Basil, who was very stern and austere, the father of Eastern monasticism. At any rate, Gregory wrote this about the lake of fire: these apostates, if they will, may go our way, which indeed is Christ's, but if not, let them go their own way. In another place perhaps they shall be baptized with fire, that last baptism, which is not only very painful, but enduring also, which eats up, as if it were hay, all defiled matter, and consumes all vanity and vice.
All vanity and vice.
39:19. Thus, he calls the lake of fire a baptism whose purpose is to consume all vanity and vice.
Amen.
He does say it is very painful, but then, I often find that lava baptism very painful myself. Yet I submit to it, because I know it is God's method of purification.
Amen.
4. Gregory of Nyassa, 335 to 394 AD. Street. Basil, the dear friend of Gregory of Nazianzus, had a younger brother also named Gregory. He was a bishop of Nyassa in Cappadocia. Robert Payne writes of him, the Emperor Theodosius had recognized him as the supreme authority in all matters of theological orthodoxy, and he was treated with extraordinary respect. Robert Payne, The Fathers of the Eastern Church, p. 164, again, the same historian says, of the 3 Cappadocian fathers Gregory of Nyassa is the one closest to us, the least proud, the most subtle, the one most committed to the magnificence of man. That strange, simple, happy, unhappy, intelligent, and God-tormented man was possessed by angels. He employed all those resources of Greek philosophy to help him in his task. In Eastern Christianity, his great catechism follows immediately after Origen's On First Principles. These were the 2 seminal works, close-woven, astonishingly lucid, final. Athanasius was the hammer, Basil the stern commander, Gregory of Nazianzus the tormented singer, and it was left to Gregory of Nyassa to be the man enchanted with Christ. 400 years after his death, at the 7th General Council held in AD 787, the assembled princes of the church granted him a title which exceeded in their eyes all the other titles granted to men. He was called Father of Fathers.
Father of Fathers.
Ibid. pp. 168, 169. This was an ironic twist of history. For that same council also pronounced to curse upon all who taught that the fire of God would cleanse, rather than torture men for eternity. One might think that perhaps Gregory was out of step with mainstream Christian thought for believing and teaching the restoration of all mankind. But Funk and Wagnall's New Encyclopedia says of him, Gregory's religious position was strictly orthodox, i.e., mainstream Christianity in his day. In fact, he was called the bulwark of the church against heresy, taking part in the Council of Nicaea and other later church councils. In his book Animat Resurrection, he wrote about the nature of the second death, they who live in the flesh ought, by virtuous conversation.
So this Gregory was called the bulwark of the church against heresy, taking part of the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.